Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today I'm going to do two review videos. This is the first part. This is the cards that were revealed in the last week and a half or so. There's not much in the way of filler cards in here, and the second part of the review probably is going to be a little bit of a late video today. They're doing the big release, like they're dumping the cards they haven't revealed yet, and there's like 60 of them or something. Most of those are going to be absolute crap pack fillers, but we'll have to see. For now, I want to give you guys the other part, the good stuff, and I think it's important to split it into two today because it's just going to be way too many cards to do it in one video. Kick it off, we got Glacial Shard. One cost 2/1, Battlecry, freeze an enemy. It's an elemental. It's a really high tempo card. It's a 1-drop. 1-drops are already high tempo card, so it's pretty good. It's kind of funny that it's kind of a weak card to play on turn 1, but it's, you know, potentially game winning later on. So that flexibility probably means this card is pretty good, and I imagine we'd see it in a few of the decks, at least, you know, like the Hunter Quest theme where it just needs a lot of 1-drops. This is a good 1-drop. Thunder Lizard. 3 cost 3/3 beast, and if you played an elemental last turn, Adapt. And Adapt can be pretty good in general. It's basically like a 3-stat boost, so it's like a 3-mana 3/6 or 6/3 or 4/4 or a few other things. If you play an elemental and it's a beast, it's kind of a quirky card, not constructed power level, but pretty good, and maybe if the 3-drop slot in any given elemental deck is a bit on the weak end. Light Fused Stegodon. This is a card that's going to drop some nightmares on people playing at least Arena, I imagine. 4 cost 3/4 beast and adapts all of your silver hand recruits when it's played. I imagine the adaptation is the same for all of them, so it's a pretty high random card, but if you have, you know, like even like one silver hand recruit, buffing it by like, you know, potentially 3 attack or giving it poisonous, that's good enough value. Getting 2, pretty serious. Getting like 3 or 4 is like almost instant game win in a lot of situations. And in Arena, often those situations do develop because it's kind of a big tempo loss to drop all the 1/1s, and maybe there'll be some new ways to pump out a bunch of 1/1s. So potentially a devastating card here. Terrascale Stalker, 3 cost 3/3, Battlecry, trigger friendly minions, Deathrattle. Pretty good card. We'll have to see how Hunter decks are played. This is obviously a good standalone card. It'd be insane if it was like a Priest card or a neutral card or maybe a few other classes. In Hunter doesn't have an identity right now in the meta, and probably the quest will have the 1-drop quest identity, and maybe it'll have a few other things, and maybe among those few other things is a Deathrattle Hunter. Basically what I'm saying is Hunter doesn't work right now, and they're trying to push many different archetypes. So even though this card is good with, like, really good with Deathrattle minions, I don't know if it's deck defining, and there's certainly a lot of deck defining cards for other type of Hunter decks already. So we'll have to see if it'll work. It might just be one of those cards that is really powerful a few expansions down the line. Raptor Hatchling, 1 cost 2/1 beast, Deathrattle, shuffle a 4/3 Raptor into your deck. So, you know, kind of an okay card. It's basically built to be played with the Hunter Quest. You want 1-drops early in the game, and later on in the game you don't really want to draw 1-drops. And it's a beast, and it's aggressively statted, which is what you want in that type of deck. King Mosh, Warrior Legendary, 9 cost 9/7 beast, and the Battlecry destroys all damaged minions. So a combo with like a Whirlwind effect or something like that would be pretty effective, and even if you don't have that, just the Battlecry to execute like 1 or 2 minions is really powerful. It's just a matter of whether or not Control Warrior would survive, but this card certainly helps it a lot. The main counter to Control Warrior are the Jade decks, and the Jade decks generally lose against a ridiculously high-tempo board clear. And this is exactly what this card delivers. If you do Whirlwind and play this, you basically Twisting Nether the board, and you have a 9/7 advantage over your opponent. That's really strong. Crackling Razormaw, 2 cost 3/2 beast, Battlecry, adapt a friendly beast. So pretty good. As you guys know, cards with their Battlecry effects cannot target themselves in Hearthstone, so it's not like a broken card on its own, but if you can reliably have beasts on the board, it's really powerful. And again, We'll have to see how that works out with Hunter, having so many different archetypes, and I imagine only a few, maybe none of them even, at the end of the day would work. Hemet Jungle Hunter, 6 cost 6/6 Battlecry. Destroy all cards in your deck that cost 3 or less. Wow! What a huge card, right? I mean, I really like cards like these. This card might not be too successful. It might also be extremely successful. But I really like cards like these that have like a very specific and interesting and fairly open deck building design. So what's really interesting is it costs 6 mana. So if you have a lot of 3 drops, 2 drops, and 1 drops, maybe some card draw in there, you can actually curve out pretty well. So even if you don't draw this on turn 6, if you have like a lot of 3 drops, you can just play 2 3 drops on turn 6. So this card is just really good if you can have a lot of cantrips, a lot of card draw, and a lot of low cost things. And after that, you could just have a few really big cards, and you can have a few very specific cards, like, oh, I don't know, if for some reason like Deathwing is really good in the meta, you could just have a deck filled with low cost cards and Deathwing, and then you play this, and even though you might have only 1 card left in your deck, you basically force out some draw. So it has some really cool playabilities, and I imagine a card as complicated as this one is going to take some time to optimize in any given state, and that's a really positive aspect of the game overall. So look forward to playing around and toying around with the card. Blaze Collar, 7 cost, deal 5 damage if you played Elemental, and it's a 6/6. So basically it's like an epic Firelands Portal for Elemental decks. Firelands Portal is absolutely insane, and this has generally a better outcome than that. So this card is going to basically be a staple in Elemental decks. Will Elemental decks work? Well, I hope so. I mean, that seems to be the main point of the expansion. So yes, this card is probably going to be very popular. Servant of Kalamos, 5 cost 4/5 Elemental. If you played Elemental last turn, discover an Elemental. So a pretty good card. I imagine it'll be a pretty big one in Arena because there's some really powerful Elementals. Just keep in mind the Discover effect is generally based on the class that you're playing. So if you're playing like, Mage, you might get like the Legendary a lot. If you're playing Shaman, you're going to get some really spectacular ones. So this card is going to have a pretty nice impact, though probably not too frequently because it's a neutral card, but still, I think it'll be really powerful. Ravenous Pterodax, a 4 cost 4/4 beast, Battlecry, destroy a friendly minion to adapt twice. So the multiple adaptation mechanic is very strong. Destroying a friendly minion is like losing like a 1/1 or a 2/1 or a 1/2 most of the time. And doing 2 adapts is kind of like a 4 mana 7/7 without the overload. Is that pretty good? Yeah, that's pretty good. I think silences and wide border removal is probably going to be fairly popular. So we'll have to see if it gets meted out. But if it doesn't, I imagine we'll see a lot of this card. The legendary Paladin quest, The Last Kaleidosaur. Of course, it's a 1 cost. Cast 6 spells on your minions. Reward Galvadon. So before we look at Galvadon, casting 6 spells on your minions is really hard to do. Keep in mind, possibly the best spell to cast on your minion, Seal of Champions, is gone in Standard. So this is really hard to do properly and not like, play a really bad deck. So basically, you're playing a pretty bad deck with a lot of clunky cards, and at the end, is it worth it? Yeah, maybe it's worth it. 5 cost 5/5 Battlecry, adapt 5 times. So you can get like Stealth, and you can get Wind Fury, and then you can get 3 attack 3 times. And then you have a 14/5 Stealth Wind Fury. And you're playing a deck with a lot of buffs. So this card's obviously really good. It's just, can you actually build a deck that consistently gets this card out and doesn't lose to everything? It's going to be quite a mystery. Evolving Spores, 4 cost, adapt your minions. Oh god, I hate this card. It's such a high variance card. You can get 3 attack on all your guys and basically do like often better Savage Roar. You can give Poisonous to all your guys and have like a board clear. You can just get like absolute garbage. You can get like Stealth, can't be targeted, and like 3 health, and then just like nothing. So it's literally like 4 cost, roll the dice. Maybe you win the game, maybe you lose the game. Oh god. Spirit Echo, 3-cost Shaman card. Give your minions Deathrattle, return this to your hand. Pretty interesting reload card. Obviously, it's got some Murlocs in the image, and you know that makes you think maybe it's good in Murloc decks. Maybe it is good in Murloc decks, but the main reservation I have with it being played in Murloc decks is that Murloc decks mostly rely on you playing Murlocs and not cards that potentially don't play other Murlocs. So if you're out of cards and you top deck this and you have like just some totems on the board, well, you're going to certainly lose that game. So, we'll have to see. But I think it might work out. I think this might be a pretty powerful card in a Murloc Shaman. And maybe some other spin-off deck. Tertullian Primalist. 8-cost, 5/4, Battlecry, discover a spell and cast it with random targets. So, okay, that looks really bad. It's really bad, right? You compare it to like Ragnaros, which is now banned, so maybe it's not a fair comparison. 8-cost, 8/8, and you deal 8 to one of your opponent's random things. So it's generally almost never going to be better than Ragnaros if you don't really think about the specifics. But the specifics are pretty important. So I don't know about all the classes. I didn't really think through everything in particular with this card, but obviously some classes are really crap to play this in. But a class like Mage is not bad. You have to keep in mind that Discover effects limit to your class. So, you know, if you play this as a Mage, what spells do mages have? Well, they have secrets. So if you play this and you get a secret, it's actually going to be pretty secret. Your opponent's not going to know what you picked. That's going to make the secret overall a little better. You're playing a 3-cost card, and it's a 2-in-1, and it's a 5/4. Get like Effigy or something, maybe. It's pretty good, actually. If you get a secret on a mage, it's pretty good. You can also get board clears as a mage, like a lot of board clears. You can get card draw as a mage, and there's not that many garbage spells that I can think of. I think if you just get a secret, it's all right. So I think this card is actually all right. Now, I don't know why it's epic, and I don't know why it costs 8 mana, but it's better than you think, and maybe not useless. Spike Rich Steed, 6-cost, give a minion +2/+6 and taunt. When it dies, summon Stegadon. So that's a really powerful effect. I considered the weight of this card because probably a lot of people are going to start playing card removal and silence and like transform removal and all that. So it's obviously good with a Paladin quest. It's really a good card if you can play it on a hero power guy and it's still good. So if you play this on a hero power guy, it's 8-cost, 3/7 taunt, and when it dies, you get one of these guys. Is that good? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. So if you play that and it gets hexed, it's kind of like playing a powerful 8-drop and that gets hexed, but it's more flexible than that and it has taunt. That's a pretty good card, I think. Pretty good card. We'll have to see if that Paladin deck works out. So far, it doesn't seem like it will, but we'll see. And I believe Stegadon is also just the standalone card. Not much to talk about. A little bit better than a pack filler because it's a high HP taunt. Maybe there's some taunt decks that can like to play this card, and I imagine it's going to make a relevant impact in Arena. Cornered Sentry, 2-cost, 2/6 taunt Battlecry, summon 3/1/1 Raptors for your opponent. So it's kind of like a 2 for a 2/3 taunt, and it's got some synergy, and you can like clear and stuff, and it's not bad. It's interesting. This card is entirely meta dependent, entirely dependent on what kind of deck you can stick it in, but seems kind of cool. I think it's probably going to see some play eventually. And finally, we have Tarantus, 10-cost, 12/12 beast. Druid legendary. So basically, druids didn't get a legendary in this expansion. Well, I guess they'll still be playing Jades anyway, so not a big deal. Alright guys, that's going to do it. I hope you guys tune in to the next review coming right up. And yeah, with that, we will get a good look into what Un'Goro is going to offer us as a whole. We can start using our imaginations on what kind of decks we're going to play. So tune in for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next.